Welcome to the first tutorial for pages 1 through 3 of the summer packet for CP Geometry. It should be noted that all of the problems I go over in this video are problems from the packet. Some of them are bonus questions and some of them are the actual questions that you have to do. So pay close attention and work with me. At the beginning of this, we're going to be starting with order of operations. And the instructions say to evaluate each expression. So as I look at this expression, I notice that I have a fraction. I notice that that means division. And we have some addition, subtraction, yada, yada, yada. And number 2, I see some parentheses. And number 8 gets even more complicated. So first, let's revisit PEMDAS. That's parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. And the reason I put those in parentheses is multiplication doesn't always come before division. I approach them from left to right, whoever comes first. And then with respect to addition, subtraction, same thing. Whoever is in the front. So if I had 3 minus 2 plus 4, I would do 3 minus 2 first, make that 1, plus 4 is equal to 5. Okay, so let's get started. It should be noted that anytime I see a fraction, that on the top is implied parentheses and the bottom is implied parentheses, meaning take care of the top and the bottom separately. So 4, nothing to do on the top. On the bottom, you have 1 plus 5, which is 6. Minus 2 is 4, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. So the answer to number 2 is 1. On the second problem, nothing to do on the top. So I'm just going to leave that as 12. And then I see some parentheses, so I'm just going to recopy everything else and then do what is in the parentheses, which is 6 minus 4, which is 2. Now as I evaluate, I notice that I have multiplication here and here. So I'm going to deal with that multiplication prior to the subtraction. So 2 times 6 is going to be 12. Minus 5 times 2 is 10. And so that's 12 over 12 minus 10, which is 12 over 2, which is 6. Our last problem again, implied parentheses in that fraction bar, which means I'm going to deal with the top part of that first. So that's just going to be 5 minus 3 plus, and the 9 plus 6 is going to be 15 divided by 3 minus 5. Now, it might be easier to look at this as saying 5 minus 3 plus 15 divided by 3 minus 5. These two are equivalent expressions. But now I can see that I need to deal with the division first. So I'm just going to say 5 minus 3. And then plus whatever happens here, which is 15 divided by 3 is 5 minus 5. And now I'm going to approach this from left to right because in that PEMDAS, addition doesn't always come before subtraction. I approach it left to right. So since there's only addition and subtraction left, I work from left to right. 5 minus 3, which is 2, plus 5 is 7, minus 5 is 2. And that's it. So there's 3 problems from your packet that I've done for you. In the next section, evaluate each using the given values, is just more PEMDAS stuff. It's just that you have to put the values in yourself. By that I mean wherever I see J, I'm going to put in the value 5. Wherever I see K, I'm going to put in the value 3. So why don't you press pause, go ahead and rewrite that, substitute all those values in. So press pause now and do that. So in the purple, I have sort of originally what was there. And then in the green, I've substituted all the values that they told me to put in. And so now I see some subtraction inside of parentheses, which means I'm going to do what's inside of parentheses first. I see addition outside of the parentheses, which means I'm going to do that last. And then the rest of this is just a bunch of multiplication. So let's go ahead and crunch this down a little bit at a time. So inside the parentheses is going to be 5 minus 5, which is 0, times 3 times 5 times 3. Well, guess what? 3 times 5 is 15, times 3 is 45, times 0 is zip, plus 3 times 5 is 15, and 15 plus 0 is 15. Our next section is combining like terms. So we're going to simplify the expression. So sort of bring it down to the simplest expression we can. We're not solving for anything, just putting like terms with like terms. So I see 3 and 1 go together, and they are both positive, so that makes 4. And then I see a positive 7x and a positive x gives me a positive 8x. So 4 plus 8x. Moving on to number 8. Well, I see that we have some distribution, right? I see parentheses. I think distribution, so we're going to multiply that negative 10. So negative 10 times 1 is negative 10. Negative 10 times 1 is negative 10. And then negative 10 times a negative 5 is a positive 50, right? But it's 5n, so it's positive 50n. And then there's nothing to combine there. So these are our final answers here. The last one's got a little bit of a trick to it. I see the negative 7, nothing to do there. And then I have that negative 5 getting distributed. So essentially, what would you do if it was just like that? I'd say, well, negative 5 times v is negative 5v, and negative 5 times negative 2 is a positive 10. And then what I do is bring that negative 7 back to the game and say, oh, well, negative 7 plus 10 is positive 3 minus 5v, or negative 5v plus 3. And that's it. That gets you through pages 1 through 3. Hopefully that was helpful.